is a new state, I try to get right. This is a new day to get on track. Yeah, that's life in football. This is a new day to live your life. This is a new state, I try to get right. This is a new day to get on track. Yeah, that's life in football. It's life in football. We are life in football.
Welcome to the Life in Football podcast, baby. I'm your host, Mike Feed.
And this your coach, Cole Moore. You know we loving life and enjoying football.
We got a Texas A&M big-time SEC coach on right now. He goes by the name of Mikado Hinson, and he's currently the director of football player development and associate diversity officer. He's a husband, he's a father, he's a chaplain. He's been pretty much assistant for us, helping guys develop character. He's a Norfolk State grad in mass communication. He's been a teacher. And I saw something interesting when I was looking him up and getting information. He's also a boxing ring announcer. This is about to be a great interview. Sit back, relax, but before I keep going, I'm gonna go ahead and let Simo bring him on.
How you doing, Coach?
Man, I'm doing great today. The sun rose, and I rose, and I'm feeling good. Good to be with you guys.
Hey, it's a blessing to have you on, Coach. I want to jump right in on you. So, when did you know that you actually had a love and a passion for helping players grow? Just when did you figure that out and know that was your journey in life?
Yeah, that's a great question to jump off on. For me, it was really after I graduated college. I had dreams that I was going to be a world famous broadcaster. And when I initially went to college, I went to school to be a chef. And I quickly found out that I'd rather speak to 500 people than cook for them. And so I switched to mass communications, but thought I was going to be a world famous broadcaster. And then really my senior year at Norfolk State, I started growing in my faith a lot and really had a tug on my heart for ministry. And I thought, how could I marry the love of sport with my love for the Lord? And that came through the avenue of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And so I started in inner city Houston. You think of guys like Vince Young, things like that. I was a chaplain for his high school football team. And so I really had the heart and the desire to pour into coaches and athletes. So I really saw a love for sports ministry, and I gave my life away in that since 1998, and have kind of been operating in that same vein, just in different locations.
So God been blessing you to bless everybody on earth, just getting them right day in and day out. Now,
well, let me just go ahead and make, as I am getting right day in and day out, you can't pour out of your outside of your experiences and where you're growing. So if I ever feel like that I hit the point where I'm a guru and have it all together, I just need to go ahead and be ushered out of this business. So what I'm doing is, as I grow, it is my challenge and is my call and my charge really to pour in to the young student athletes that I have the privilege of working with on a daily basis.
Coach, when did it hit you when some of the players, I know the players have to come back and say, Coach, man, you saved my life on this, or man, I appreciate you for this. Like, you really helped me. Like, when nobody else could hear me, you heard me. Like, how does that feel?
It's one of the greatest feelings ever. I mean, you think about it, and I use this illustration with all humility, but when Jesus cleansed 10 lepers and the one that came back and said, thank you, his first response was, where are the other 9? Weren't there 10? But I'll just tell you, in this profession now, going in just finished my 21st football season in college football, to be able to see some of your old athletes come back, or you communicate with them and they'll say, you probably didn't even think I was listening to you, or you probably didn't think I was watching you. But a lot of the things, Mikado, you said and did just in general conversation and just in passing, things like that stood out to me. I have one athlete in particular, when I have a lot that I could share this about, but when I was at the University of Houston, I had an athlete not too long ago, probably in the last 2 years, reach out and say, man, those talks we used to have in your office, those were life-changing for me. And I'll be honest, I thought about it for a minute and say, did we even talk about anything that was earth-shattering? Maybe not to me, but to him, it was a seed planted, and then later on that seed started to grow. And so that means that is proof positive of the authenticity of what I believe God has called me to do. And there is no better feeling. You know, you win games on the field, you lose games on the field, but when you can win games in life and you get the experience of talking about that with someone and how that has played out in their life and in their marriage and in their decisions and things like that, that means the world to me.
Coach, let's get into your background for a minute. How it was for you growing up, where you're from, and who helped you to become the person that you are today?
Wow. This will take the rest of the podcast, not because it's some long sob story. It's just I'm really proud of who I am and where I'm from. I grew up in a town just outside of Kansas City called Olathe, Kansas. And it's a suburb really about 15 to 20 minutes outside of downtown Kansas City. Was blessed to be able to grow up with a mom, a dad. I just talked to him last night. Mom, dad, and a brother. So I'm the youngest of two. And, you know, in my life, we grew up taught how to work hard and respect people. My situation's, I don't say unique. It is, I'm blessed because I'm biracial. My father is black. My mother is white. I have a Japanese name and I look like I'm Polynesian. So I get the best of all worlds. But growing up biracial, you know, born in the 70s, really growing up in the 80s, I wouldn't say that it was a horrible experience. Now, we had our challenges. I had my challenges as far as just identity. Where did I belong? But the beautiful thing about me is that I had friends of all nationalities, all colors. Some of my closest friends were white, black, Brazilian. I mean, like my dear friends to this day. And so, but my dad managed a grocery store for over 50 years. Well, in the grocery business for over 50 years, probably even more than that. And then just retired recently. My mother was an occupational therapist. So I knew we came from a blue collar, hardworking family. But faith was not at the time the foundation of how we were brought up. We were brought up to respect and you know, really treat people with honor and dignity. But it wasn't until my freshman year of college that I realized that I was missing something in my life. And that was a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And so the people who really shaped and molded me, I'll be completely just my mom and dad. They're my heroes. They've been, this June, they will celebrate 50 years of marriage. They got married in 1971. You think about that at a time when interracial marriages were frowned upon. And my mom graduated high school May of 71. They got married June 6th of 71. And so for them to be able to just live out and show my brother and I what real love looks like and fighting through challenges. And they did a good job of protecting us from a lot of that. But that foundation that was laid in my life by my mom and dad, it's invaluable. Like, I can't put a price tag on that. I love them. They are, again, like I said, they're my heroes, and they are still very near and dear to my heart today. So you look back on it, you know, just like any young kid, you know, you grow up playing sports, you grow up just being a little goofball, you know, just doing what you do. But I was proud, and I am proud to be a Hinson, and I'm proud to be Carl and Donella Hinson's son. So that's kind of my background, just in a snapshot, just growing up.
Coach, that was amazing. And then especially how you was talking about your relationships and for just growing up in a loving environment with a mother and a father in the same household. Right. And a lot of kids, especially for us in neglected in some of the lower class economy areas, a lot of kids go through struggles at times with, I guess people say, finding themselves. And I know that's what you're helping the kids do while you're at Texas A&M, and that you've been doing pretty much your whole career. So how is that for you when you hear some of these stories from these kids, but at the same time being able to relate through your experience growing up from the 70s and 80s? How is that?
You know, one of my great privileges is building relationships with young men, and young men from all different types of backgrounds. That's the beauty of the game of football for all the young athletes and the coaches and just athletics in general. Those who are listening, you bring people from all different walks of life and different life experiences and family backgrounds and dynamics. And now you're asking them all to come to be a part of a team. Some people would say a family, a group of people that are cast a vision and fighting towards a common goal, and that's victory on a field or a court or wherever it might be. And there are coaches there to lead them and love them and challenge them and correct them and push them beyond that they possibly could even see in themselves. And I'll tell you, I am drawn to the young man who has struggled in life, not any fault of their own, just life experiences and family situations. Those are the young men that I love them. I gravitate towards them. I want to pour into them. I want to build a relationship with them. And you know this, the first thing that you have to build in a situation like that is trust. Because if a man has not been around consistently in their life, then oftentimes they'll put up a wall around you in the area of trust. And so it takes time just to invest and love and laugh and just find a common area that you guys might agree upon and build on that. A lot of times it is sports or another athlete or whatever it might be, or music or whatever. But those are the young men that I'm drawn to. And you can't reach everyone, but what you can do is you can love everyone and you can plant a seed in their lives. And you might not even the one to see the benefit of that seed planted. Someone else might see that down the road. But that has literally been what I've been called to do. I remember when I worked for FCA in Houston, and people say, "Oh, you're at Texas A&M. You were the chaplain for the Houston Rockets. You've done all these things," and I've been blessed. But I remember going to HISD, Inner City Houston Independent School District, going to Johnston Middle School, visiting Coach Johnny Simmons, and him allowing me to speak to his gym class and saying, "Coach, you can't leave without praying for my kids, but we got to look like we're just talking. We just got to, have our eyes open and just looking around, but we got to pray a blessing over these kids because they come from some tough situations." I still remember those moments. I still remember, talking to Coach Ray Seals at Madison High School, being in a small trailer, speaking to his football team, just sweat dripping off my forehead and my chin before they go jump on the bus and go play, and letting them know that they're more than an athlete, letting them know, and that was a long time ago saying that, letting them know that God has a great plan and a purpose for their lives. And so, those are the things that I really remember. I was blessed to grow up with a mom and a dad. I am a dad. I am a husband. But my life experiences have benefited me in the field that I'm called to, because I've worked with enough athletes who come from single parent broken homes. But everyone, I don't care if your family dynamic, excuse me, is what you would call picture perfect, which there's no such thing. But if you have a mom and a dad and things are going well, I don't care. Every single person, you, me, all of us, we want love and we want discipline. And oftentimes those are the two things we fight hardest against. And so that is such a passion of mine, is to love people hard when they're hard to love and provide some type of discipline for them in their lives, because I know in the long run, it's going to be beneficial. So that was a long answer to your question, but I love the people that I work with, that I get to pour into, that I have through the years, and all the different dynamics and economic situations and family backgrounds that they come from.
Now, the important question that I want to know and get into is about the boxing experience and your career as an announcer.
Yeah, I tell you, boxing is my favorite sport. You know, I work in college football, but boxing is the sweet science. I've watched boxing since I was a kid. And, you know, when I went to school in Norfolk, Virginia, Norfolk State, I had the privilege of watching my favorite all-time fighter train, and named Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker, rest in peace. And I had a chance to watch him, Olympic gold medalist, 4 or 5-time division weight champion, undisputed champion, and just to watch him compete, watch him train. I've been able to travel around the world and watch guys like Chris Bird, who was the IBF heavyweight champion. I was there with him and walked him to the ring when he fought Evander Holyfield in 2002. I was with him every fight in between then, and then I was actually with him in Germany when he lost his belt to Vladimir Klitschko. But boxing is just it's a hurt sport. It is brutal, and boxers really are the forgotten athlete. And so I've really had the great privilege not only of just being friends with a lot of pro fighters, but also kind of serving as a mentor and a chaplain. Not a lot of people are pouring into boxers. Not a lot of people are trying to encourage and build them up. A lot of people are taking from them, promoters and managers and the like. And then when they're all done boxing and don't have that reflex, or, you know, can't perform at the high level, people kind of just throw them out. I mean, to be honest. And so I really have a heart for the fight game and for the fighters. And then a little side hustle, a little side gig is having the privilege of doing ring announcing. And so being the guy in the middle of the ring, you know, saying, ladies and gentlemen, in the red corner, you know, that whole deal. So I've had the privilege of seeing fights up close and personal, doing a lot of fights in Houston, here in College Station where I live. And so anybody listening who is looking for a great ring announcer who takes it real serious, I'm your guy. But again, I love the fight game. I think boxing teaches such great disciplines, so many great disciplines and things like that. It is a hurt sport, but it's a science sport as well. It's a game of angles. And my brother, you never hear people say that they play boxing. That's one sport you don't play. You either box or you don't. And that's, you know, people take it very, very seriously. So I love boxing, and I find something, the athletes I work with, whether it's football, basketball, even when I was working with the NBA with the Houston Rockets, they all love boxing. There's something about the sport of boxing. Mike Evans, who played at A&M, Super Bowl champion Buccaneers, we're texting every single week about fights. We go to fights. He and I went to the Errol Spence, Mikey Garcia fight. Fortunate he was able to get us tickets really close, front row, but we athletes outside of their sport love boxing. It's just such an amazing combat sport. You train with a team, but you climb through the ropes one-on-one. It's mano a mano. And that's what is so special to me about the fight game. Plus, I used to watch the fights growing up with my dad, so that also just has a special place in my heart.
Coach, my last question for you is, me and Mike, we're about to have 10 years in our marriage. Like, he's been married in December for 10 years, and then I'll be married in May for 10 years. So what do you tell the players about getting prepared to that possibly their wife is on that campus or from their hometown? Like, how do you help guys going down that avenue?
Yeah, I tell them the first thing, because I met my wife in college, and we've been married 23 years. We'll be 24 this October. And I tell people all the time, work at developing yourself. You can't be what they need you to be if you're only focused on what you need them to be for you. Okay? And you have to look beyond the physical attributes that may attract you to them. And so this is just me. I wanted to be running so hard with God that when I got married, that we were running together. that we were in this relationship, that she understands that she is not number one in my life, and I should not be number one in her life. Our personal relationships with the Lord should be top priority in our life, and then the relationship and the eventual, for some people, their marriage should be the number two relationship. And if children come down the line, they should be number three. My kids understand that I love their mother more than I love them. And some people say, what? I can't believe that. No, they need to see me. They need to see what it looks like to be a husband. And for my daughters, they need to see what they should be looking for in a husband. Right. And so my son should be able to see man, I want to be just like my dad and things like that. So I would say, do the introspective, look at yourself first, look inside first, grow, look at the man in the mirror first. And then, and I'll say this, you don't have to have 10, 15, 20, I'm speaking to the young men from a man's perspective. You don't have to have 20 girlfriends in order to find the right one. They say in military, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So take your time, develop relationships. Remember, young men, when you're dating a young woman, that's someone's daughter. Treat them, and you say, well, I've already blown it. Well, listen, there's no better time to, me too, but there's no better time to start than now. And so I encourage young people to make sure they're learn how to date, learn how to spend time, learn how to talk, learn how to know them, not just know about them. Two different things. And so there's a lot of advice, but especially for the young men in college, take your time. I got married in college, but that's not everyone's deal, and that's fine. There's no timeline of when it's the right time for you, but when it's the right time, commit, settle down, have just tunnel vision for your bride. Young ladies have tunnel vision for your groom, and but I just say, grow. Don't wait to grow when you get married. Grow now, prepare yourself now, learn about marriage now, learn some people's successes and some people's failures, and put that in your toolbox of what to do and what not to do. Those are things that I think would be helpful and beneficial. And 24 years, but I'm still learning my wife, and I think she's still learning me.
That was some great information, y'all, that we have got this entire podcast. Please, young fellas or coaches, if you have anybody who are interested in the game of football and trying to grow, not just as a player, but as a person as well, tell them, man, they got to get up on this platform and listen, because Coach Mikado Hinson, he just gave some great information, and he's doing a great job at Texas A&M. He's helping players to be unique, to be a part of the team, and most of all, be themselves and grow. And I just want to thank him again for coming on. And I'm going to leave y'all how I always leave y'all. Keep your head up and not down, or else you'll fall to the ground. This is the Life in Football podcast. Get you next time.
Yeah, that's life in football. This is a new day to live your life. This is a new day to try to get right. This is a new day to get on track. Yeah, that's life in football. It's life in football. We are life in football.